Are we rolling
We're
here?
recording.
Stop the presses, okay? We have an announcement. Today is the 23rd of November, 2024.
But it's not. Because by the time this hits the air, it'll be January probably.
But we are here today to commemorate the greatest sequel ever made.
What is that?
In the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again.
Yeah, today is Diet Dr. Paul's birthday.
Did you do that on purpose?
What?
Is that why you picked this episode title?
Not
you
at
did,
all.
Did that ever? Because I just now realized what you were saying right when you said the greatest sequel of all time.
I woke up in the middle of the night and thought about like the starting of the episodes are so bad and it's all my fault. And I thought, oh, wait a minute.
This works.
I wonder how he would feel thinking about, would you say that you were the sequel's better than the original?
Really?
Maybe it's potential. It's just potential. We haven't finished the second movie yet, though, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that, though. That's pretty good.
All right.
A round of applause from this Paul.
Welcome to Rotten Potatoes. I'm Dr. Paul.
I am Diet Dr. Paul, the greatest sequel of all time.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yes. Why are we talking about sequels today?
Well, I guess it works well because of me being a sequel. But today we're going to talk about sequels that are better than the original.
Yeah. If you're new to us, shame on you. We talk about a weekly new episode every single Thursday. We never miss. And because of this guy right here.
We never missed.
And talk about movies, all kinds of movies, but especially genre flicks, comic book horror, sci-fi, comic books, model kits, everything pop culture, boomer versus millennial. And this is, like I said, an episode talking about sometimes sequels are better.
Mm-hmm.
No way!
A lot of times, apparently, according to my research.
Well, I'll tell you this. This was the hardest for me in terms of going from my long list of possibilities to the 7. I had about 4 of them picked right away, and the last 3, I just sat there looking at this piece of paper for hours.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
Just not deciding, not knowing which to go through. I don't remember what I put on this list right here. So I'm going to find out at the same time as you.
You know where I got hung up on this? What is a sequel? Is it the first film following the release of a movie? What about when you have franchises?
Mm-hmm.
Could the last film in the cycle be considered a sequel to the first one?
For me, it's anything that's a part of that. So you wanted to go like Dune Part 1 versus Part 2. Technically, that's a continuation, but there's separate films. It's separate casting, it's usually they're separate entities among themselves, even though sometimes they're filmed back to back. They're not always with the same 100% of cast. So I think, but then you could look at the X-Men aspect. So you have X-Men, but then there's like X-Men Days of Future Past and Logan. I consider all those sort of sequels of themselves. So
because you talk about Dune 2, I saw more than one list online that people said that, yeah, they thought that was better than the first one. I tend to, on this thing, I don't know what he's going to say. You don't know what I'm going to say. I don't do a whole lot of research on topics.
Oh, come on!
Like if we're talking about what's the top 10 horror movies or top 10 comic book movies, I just sit down and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't go to the internet because there is a list on the internet for anything you possibly could look for. And in the case of this one, I did sort of think about and got it on paper and then got hung up over, well, is that a sequel or is that just part of a 10 film cycle?
Mm-hmm.
And but in the end, I'm happy with mine. Do you think how much overlap we're going to have?
There's some potential for overlap for sure.
Okay.
And I like last time I played Name Your Videos for You.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, every week I'm going to have your picks laid down because I know you better than you know you. I got 4 last time, so we'll see. Technically 3, but
If you get all 7, what do you get?
a prize.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
And yeah, okay. On your birthday. By the way, happy birthday.
Thank
From the interweb out there, throw a little love Dr. Paul's way.
I'm old.
What would you like? What's a nice, what if they want to send you something?
World peace.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Okay. We sure could use that now. So
Listen to somebody that you don't normally listen to. Bam.
wow. Okay, start us off. Oh,
Okay. Well, I guess we could go over honorable mentions afterwards. Okay. Now, I didn't give movies as much movie a credit for if there's a sequel to a bad movie and it's better than the bad movie. I'm not going to give you as much credit for that because that's kind of easy to do. But this one is one of the few that falls into this line, and I thought it's kind of the poster child for this, at least in terms of comic book movies. And so we're going to go number 7 is going to be Thor Ragnarok, because the first Thor movie is just not very good. And Thor Ragnarok is everything, at least that I like about comic book movies. It's silly, it's funny, it's over the top, it's got good casting, it's got a decent little story that you can wrap up with the bow at the end. It wasn't so worried about, it was worried about setting up the next film, but not so much as its predecessors or those that followed that get hung up in phases 4 or 5 of the MCU. But it's not, it did much better with its ratings than I expected. I expected I was going to get like 70% Rotten Tomatoes. This thing's got like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm surprised that people liked it as much as I did. But I think me, you, and no, we didn't. That was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think we saw the trailer for this in that movie. But
is this the one that says, "Hey, we work together"?
we're friends from work.
Yes.
Yes.
I totally agree with you. I really did. I thought it was a delightful film.
Taika
It's like-
Waititi.
Yes. Gesundheit.
Mm-hmm.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Yeah, I just, those folks out there in the web know that I'm not a big Marvel fan. But I particularly liked this one. It's rewatchable and characters great. I would totally agree with you. And I would also say that that's part of a sequel.
It's probably of all the Marvel movies, is probably the one I've seen the most, because it used to be on Netflix. And so it was kind of like my go-to, just throw it on to have in the background.
I thought the one your go-to was the one where you like to watch Iron Man and you cry
That's not my go-to because that's a tough one to watch.
because you tear up,
Tear up, yeah.
look into the camera and squirt a few.
No, I'm not.
Come on, squirt a few.
I'm mad at him now because he's coming back as Doctor Doom, which is just, don't get me started on how dumb that is. Just cheapen everything that's happened before.
Yeah.
But Jeff Goldblum's in it too. It's good. It's good stuff.
Well, good. All right,
Good.
You ready for my number 7?
I reckon.
85% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Batman. This is the one you purchased this for me, and it is. See,
How's that a sequel?
Oh, I'm in eye trouble now. Is this going to be one of the? We had one episode
I'm
we
giving
filmed once
you a hard time.
where after the episode he was in our front lawn smashing the tripod. He was so mad.
This is where you talk about there's what is a sequel, but this is anything that's following on the heels of a Batman. So it's a sequel. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, it is. In my opinion, most of the Batman films are good and watchable. Probably with the exception of the Clooney's and Batman Returns. Those two I did not.
I think everybody agrees on that.
Yeah, I think that Christian Bale is the best Batman in my opinion, but I think the Batman with Pattinson is the best Batman film. And I just think it's true to heart. When Batman came out, he was a detective, and that's essentially, he doesn't have superpowers, and in the original, he was really, it's all about his intelligence as a detective, and this really plays this up. This is a mystery, and I thought it was just brilliant done. But here's the thing about this particular, that's why it's number 7 for me. is that this could easily change. That there could be another this franchise, I think, is consistently good. How many every time a new Batman film's out, you've got a new Joker. I mean, you had Keith Ledger. We thought nobody would ever do better than that. And then, the next thing you know, we're talking about a new villain, and and we're talking about, Joaquin Phoenix is that kind of stuff. So I think that this time next year, if we did the same thing, we'd say that whatever the newest Batman film could outshadow the Batman.
You just said Joaquin Phoenix, and my brain just did a snap because Napoleon was on sale, so I bought it last night. That was my birthday treat to myself. That movie is so good.
Really?
I gave it about a 7.5 when we saw it live, but watching it at home, holy crap, that's a good movie.
Really?
I really like that movie.
I wouldn't mind borrowing that again.
It's digital. You just have to sign into my Prime, and you could watch it.
What's your Prime account?
No. But I agree with everything you said. Matt Reeves' Batman is awesome, and there's the Penguin that's come out too. That's apparently really, really good, and I'm gonna watch it, but I want it to all be out before I watch it. I don't like.
Yeah.
I like to dictate when I watch the episodes. So, but I agree. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a Batman movie on my list.
You're the
later.
one. I had no interest in seeing it at all whatsoever.
That is the single greatest trailer of all time.
Where you've said
With
said
Nirvana, and that's what I talked about a new little thing I want to do with us, and that's kind of what got me on that.
Yeah.
But when it's
You
the
bought
Nirvana and the underneath the bridge. It's
You bought me that box set special edition kind of thing, and finally forced myself to watch it. And I thought, man, yeah, should listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
Should listen to me more.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that now with number 6 because I got X-Men, baby, and that is X-Men Days of Future Past. I promise it's not a bunch of superhero movies on my list. Bryan Singer, who was almost on here with another movie for me, and I really seriously considered Superman Returns because it's supremely undervalued. I just don't think it's better than Superman. But this is the best of both worlds. It's the 2000 X-Men, and then it's the newer X-Men with Fassbender and McAvoy, where they travel back into the past to try to stop Mystique from getting captured after killing Bolivar Trask at some UN summit over the Vietnam War. It's really cool. It goes back, time travel back to the 70s and Vietnam War. It reminds me a little bit of The Watchmen from Zack Snyder, but not so gritty. And it is the best X-Men live action film to date, without a doubt. And it's not even close.
Are they making any more? Is this going to be another one of those that
they are doing the X-Men as far as the MCU is concerned, but it's not this iteration. I think they're done with these guys. They think they finished with them in the Dark Phoenix and all that stuff. I wouldn't be upset if they reuse these guys because I think that McAvoy and Fassbender were great as Magneto and Professor X as young men. And I know you don't care about it. You probably saw it once, if that.
I saw it once. I think part of my problem, and I just need to get is and it's only just personal, and it's an age thing. As I've gotten older, that it's just sensing that Hollywood doesn't want people that look like me on the screen, and it's like as soon as you get Professor X, it's like now we need somebody, we need to reboot it. And
that's why I like this one because they're both in it. They have the old ones in it as well.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool to me. But then you have the, what's his face, Hugh Jackman in it, and I think it's his best X-Men role by far, where he gets to carry it. And I'm a big Wolverine. That was me as a kid. The X-Men '97, it was very much a Wolverine-led thing. So I also considered Wolverine and Deadpool on here too.
One of the things that I want to do now that I'm retired is. And I've got Disney Plus. I would like to rewatch the entire Marvel canon. And I think there's even a way on Disney where you can even say, if you want to watch it do this one and this one and this one and this one, I want to do that.
You can watch it in chronological order. You can watch it in release order.
I didn't know there's a difference.
Yeah. It doesn't release in chronological order.
Yeah, I need to do that. I'm trying right now at this age. I'm trying to go and travel while I can. But there's going to be a time where I'm going to be just sitting here, not being able to move, and bad knees and bad back and all that. That big screen right there. I think I want to do that. All right, my number 6. War for the Planet of the Apes. All right. And I suspect that's probably going to be on your list as well. 2017, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is very similar to Batman for me because for most all of the movies in even the one
I bought this one for you for Christmas too.
even the one that people despise, Tim Burton's version, I like that.
That's I like that movie too.
I didn't like Rise. I didn't like James Franco.
It's okay. It's a little bit. I think it's a little bit like it pulls at your heartstrings with the monkey and its big eyes, but I don't think it's as good a film.
Yeah, I think War is the best film in that entire cycle, even though I have real nostalgia for the original, and when you grew up and you saw it was just unlike anything that had ever been done. But you got Woody Harrelson, who essentially, I think you've heard you say before, that this should have gotten the Best Picture nomination and he should have gotten the Best Actor nomination.
I didn't say him; it was Serkis. Should have been Best Actor.
Steve Zahn is in this. It is the story's great, the cinematography is great, the editing is great. It's a great action film, but in the same way that I feel about the Batman films, I suspect the next one. Yeah, and you and I were when we saw the trailer, which they played the trailer for
10 years.
Constantly. I thought, man, we're done. Let's put the Planet of the Apes to sleep. I kind of think that maybe there is some more room left in that story, and maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, there'll be a new Planet of the Apes, and we'll be saying that it is the best sequel of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's story there because they've still not connected the dots from, seeing the Statue of Liberty on the beach with Charlton Heston to, hey, they're monkeys. We still haven't connected those dots yet, so there's definite story in there.
Yep.
And I'll agree. I will say, I said at the beginning of the year that those remake films were not going to do well. I also said they were going to suck too, and now some of them have sucked, but some of them didn't do well and are still good films. And War for Planet of the Apes, King of the Planet of the Apes is one of those films. And I agree, War for Planet of the Apes should have won Best Picture that year, I think.
Every time you mention it and talk, and just preparing makes me want to go back. And
it's not an easy movie to watch either.
Yeah,
it's a tough movie to watch. So
yeah,
I agree. It's a good movie. My thing is I don't know how much better is it than the second one, and that's maybe where we differentiate our opinions on that one. Is it's a great film, but I don't know. The second one's still a really good movie too.
You're talking about the second one from the 60s.
No.
That is the second one.
The second one from the second trilogy.
It's like Planet of the Apes, and that was it Conquest of Planet of the Apes, and I mean
Planet of the Apes versus Cowboys. Good one though. That was your number 6. So my number 5. Desperado. Why don't you come to your senses?
I never thought of that as a sequel to El Mariachi.
It is.
Uh-huh.
It's great, though. I think it's perfect for this. Because El Mariachi is a great movie, but this is like, now I have money, I can make it even better. It's kind of like Evil Dead 2, but not really Evil Dead 2. It's awesome. I love it. If you've not seen Desperado, you got to go see it. It's a perfect little action flick, late 90s action flick. And Antonio Banderas, Selma Hayek. Guns in guitar cases, man. Steve Buscemi. It's a cool movie. It's almost like a comic book in an essence, a comic book Western. But it's great. It's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. Robert Rodriguez. I know a lot of people have heard of El Mariachi. This is the older brother to that.
It is one of the greatest action films ever. I totally agree with you. It makes me wish I was Hispanic and I was like 9 years old, because you think about being able to see, live on the screen action, strong, Latino characters. Like, wow.
And it takes place in a small town too, not a big city in Mexico.
Yeah. Selma Hayek. I mean, and well, we've told the story before that you didn't realize until you were an adult that there were scenes in there.
Scene in that movie.
You kept saying, "Hey, go get me a Coke." Okay.
We'd eat dinner, watching it or whatever. Like, okay, let's clean up the plates, and you'd pause it and sneak out of the room, and I'd, take the plates and you'd fast forward. I remember being in college watching it with a bunch of people and being like, I mean, I had a little bit of a meltdown because I'm like, this is not real. This is the Mandela effect in a videotape here, but it's his fault.
Oh, no, I totally. And if I would have thought about it, that would have wound up on my list.
Yeah, if you would have used your head.
Yeah. My number 5, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Got him.
Yep. You get 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and 70% for this one, so that doesn't sort of follow the whole thing. I grew up in the generation with National Lampoon, the magazine, which was sort of an adult version of Mad magazine.
Yep.
And I don't know that the world was ready for National Lampoon when they started making films, because there's something about it's kind of like the tone of it, the visual jokes that are part of it. I think that the original Vacation is not near as memorable as Christmas is, and it's the characters, the extended family that's Cousin Eddie. It has more in terms of memorable sight gags, memorable lines that are part of that. It's just brilliant, and I mean, how many times do you see it? It's a Christmas tradition now, and I don't think it's just because it's Christmas, because people get sentimental Christmas and they want to watch Christmas movies. I think that if it was Easter, and it was as strong as it was, I think we'd still be watching it. And my favorite visual gag in it is Cousin Eddie, and he's got a sweater on, and it's a dickie. They used to call those dickies back when I was growing up. You'd put it on, and so it looked like you had a sweater underneath it. It is so, when you see them on screen, and they don't make any, there's nothing on it to sort of draw your attention to it. It's like we know that this is such strong material. We just drop it out there, and you'll find it. You'll get it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that because it's a Christmas movie, it helps give it more room, because there's not a lot of great Christmas movies, or a lot of very mediocre blasé stuff. So it just stands out on the King of the Hill a little bit more. But I agree, it is much better than European Vacation, and it was one of the movies I put on your list.
Oh, yeah, that was unwatchable.
Yeah, I didn't think it was unwatchable, but it's the worst of those National Lampoon's movies. And I put it on the list of movies that I thought you would pick, so I got this one right.
That's the first one so far? Okay, there's still time.
Number 4. That was your number 5, so my number 4. I think you'll pick this one as well. And that's going to be John Wick Chapter 4. 94 and 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. What?
I'm just trying to think where you're going with this. Okay.
Number 4, John Wick Chapter 4.
Okay.
Is it not a sequel to you or something?
I don't think of it as a sequel. I think of it as like a story, a sequential story. Go ahead.
It didn't get written until the previous movie was over.
Okay.
You're going to ham on me about John Wick Chapter 4, and you think there's nothing wrong. I'm just going to smack you around. All right. Director Chad Stahelski, I guess is how you would say that. He's only done 4 movies to date. John Wick Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4. It's funny because he's got 11 movies in current production, almost all of which are like adaptations, which just means that everybody and their mom's throwing scripts at this dude to get him to make their movie because he handled this well, I guess. But so it's like they're looking at him for Highlander. There's a video game called Ghosts of Tsushima, Rainbow Six movie. There's a Vice City movie that he's getting ready to direct. So he's just doing all sorts of stuff. But that's aside from the fact that just John Wick I think it's the best of the John Wick movies. And it wraps everything up in a nice little neat bow. And yes, it is a sequel, or we can fight about it.
I heard that he was also on board to direct the remake of Ernest Scared Straight.
Ernest Scared Chapter 2.
No, I can see that. I can see that. And I might come back to that a little bit later on.
Trying to get something.
My number 4, which is probably on your list, Dawn of the Dead. You got night, you got dawn, you got day. So you're talking about 95 Rotten Tomato, 91,
I left that one off.
82. There are tons of zombie movies that are out there. I used to listen to a podcast years ago, and it was called Mail Order Zombie. And Derek Koch, who's a great podcaster, he would get every week, he would get a new Netflix film that was a zombie, and then he would rate it, like 4 headshots, 3 headshots kind of stuff. And so they had over 130 episodes. Now this was back in, a decade ago. They still had enough, 130, and they stopped after 130 episodes. So even back then, there were a ton of zombie movies that are out there. I think this is the best zombie movie ever made. Now, I think what happened in this film is that it sort of shifted the attention to where it needs to be, and that's not on the survivors, it's on the zombies. And it started to give personality and story to the zombies, which then really got kickstarted into Day and Land of the Dead, where the zombies had real personalities and stories.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't just costumes. Like, okay, you'd see, here's a zombie in a bride costume, okay, that must have been a bride. And here's one with a baseball uniform. They really did sort of make the zombies have personalities that are part of those. I still think that Night of the Living Dead is one of the greatest horror films of all time. But I think Dawn is the single greatest zombie movie of all time. Much better than, the whole notion of social commentary and consumerism. So You're sitting there not saying anything because you want to save everything you're going to say when it gets to yours.
No, that was one of the movies that I had a hard time where I didn't want to put it on the list because I put it on lists before. So I got hung up on it, and it was like that was in my 7, but I didn't want it to be there, so I removed it.
Did you have it predicted for me?
No, I don't know why I put Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
I just watched that the other day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But no.
Much better than the first one, by the way.
I love Dawn of the Dead. It's my favorite zombie movie too. I agree. I just put it on quite a few lists and talked about it a lot, so I wanted to avoid it, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
So I went to number 3 for me. Back to the Future Part 2.
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare
How
you?
double dog dare I? Well, the critics agree with you, but the audience agrees with me, and that's okay because the audience is powerful. Mr. Zemeckis, I think it's to me it's better. I love the first one. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with the first one, and I even really like the third one. But I think it's just more enjoyable for me because it goes back to the future more. It incorporates more of that aspect of the film into this story, and I like it a lot better because of that. And you get to see what happens with the multiple different universes. I just thought that's all real interesting, and it does it in a way where it doesn't cheapen the first film or lessen any of the emotional experience that you get in that one.
This is my last episode.
Okay,
It is.
thank God.
Whoever this other guy that you've done episodes with, I hope he's available.
Yeah.
No. Now I see where you're going. To be honest, I mean, in your defense,
In my defense.
but there was something that was so surprising. When I talk about Planet of the Apes, the very first one that first came out was surprising. It was just like, wow. It's like M. Night Shyamalan with the at the end, the reveal kind of stuff. But that wasn't enough to hold on to its status as the best ape movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, with Back to the Future, I think there is enough in that first one to hold on and make it unique and better and superior. And I think that we would both agree that the third one is the weakest in the thing. And it was.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It is the weakest for sure.
But no, that's okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I would have to tell you you're wrong.
Okay. Okay. Ready for my number 3?
Yeah.
Terminator 2, baby. 91%.
I edged on that one.
You what?
I thought I was going to put that on your list, but I didn't.
You just
I thought it was too surface level for you.
surface level?
Yeah.
No.
I know your number 1 is.
This is this reminds me of learning to drive a car. And just because you know how to operate a vehicle doesn't necessarily mean you know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Terminator, the first movie, was where Cameron sort of just figured out how to get in the car and rev the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 2
Knew how to
was where
drive.
he knew where to go,
Mhm.
and he took us on a thrill ride. You've got Edward Furlong. You have Robert Patterson. A Star Is Born in that. I think Schwarzenegger, the character, is better in this one than it was in the first one. He's a killing machine and angry. In this one, he had a lot more heart and sort of held on to it. I think the special effects in this one were special effects that knew where to go. They were story driven things that they did, and with the Terminator and the finger and and all of those effects and the floor of what they did in terms of how the character, the other Terminator, would blend into the
Mhm.
floor. Just brilliant stuff that I just think is a much more superior film than the first one.
Yeah, I think when people think of Terminator, they automatically think of the second movie. And I think most people forget about the first movie and that the Terminator's the bad guy in the first one and Kyle Reese is the
Yes.
good guy. I think people forget and they get caught up in that and then they think and actualize with the second film. And I agree, it's the better of the two. And I like it a lot better. I just didn't put it on my list.
Well, I can't wait.
Just to hurt your feelings.
No.
I'll be back.
All right. Well, let me hear
Cameron direct both of them, right?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm just curious. All right. Number 2.
Don't say aliens.
I won't. The Dark Knight Rises. The best Batman movie ever made.
Did you not hear a single thing that I said?
I did.
Back up 20 minutes ago.
Mine's number 2. Yours was number 7. So mine just automatically wins.
Well, let me ask you this. What was the determination for the order? My determination was the gap in quality from the original to the...
I just did it in terms of, like, as far as ranking them from 7 to 1, I think the quality of the film.
I'm looking at, but my algorithm was that breadth.
I mean, you can do it wrong, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing things wrong. The Dark Knight Rises is the best, the best of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. It's the most complete film. I love Bane, even though he sounds like a butler, just like the weirdest accent of all time. But I like it. I think there's something to it. I know that not everybody likes it, but they should, because it's a better film than the second movie. It's a better film than the first movie, and it ties everything up with a nice little neat bow as well. I consider it almost like a Christmas movie to me. That I get the urge to want to watch it around the winter, and I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah, but that one takes place during Christmas.
Well, yeah, there's nothing about, I mean, there is some snow, I think.
It's like in some winter scenes in it. Maybe I watched it around Christmas the first time. I don't know.
Okay.
He doesn't care.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Number 2 for me, Gold Member. Austin Power, Gold Member. First of all, you get just the sequence. You've got 73, 53, 52 in terms of International Man of Mystery, Spy Who Shagged Me, and Gold Member. I think that Austin Powers, the first film, did a good job of introducing a style and the characters, which were great. And I'm not throwing any shade from it, but the next 2 films were able to sort of capitalize on that, and it made it a much richer story. The background, introduction of Fat Bastard in this, and the rise of Mini-Me, and the flashbacks in terms of the past, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It generally, and I'm kind of surprised that the Gold Member had a 52.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I just think it's just brilliant. I want a 4th, and I want a 4th, but I just think that they're all great. All 3 of them are, and it's one of those rare, unlike the Back to the Future, where 2 of the 3 are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of these movies are just absolute stellar, but I think that they get better as they go along.
Yeah, it was the most polished. I think it was the most actualized and thought out of them. And I do believe that there will be a fourth one at some point. I just think it's the type of thing where he lets the stories come to him as far as chasing it. So I think it may be a few years. We'll wait and see.
Yep.
It was an honorable mention of mine, but it didn't make my list. Sorry. That was your number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my number 1. Surprise, surprise. War for Planet of the Apes. And did you know that Matt Reeves is the same director that directed Batman as War for Planet of the Apes?
I did not know that.
I did.
Just drop some knowledge.
I wrote it down because I'm a gangster. Yeah, for everything you said, it's the best movie that it came out that year. And you have all the added stuff that it's got all the motion capture. There's not a lot of actual real flesh and blood actors in it, so it just makes these things more difficult to do. And the fact that it was even better, it's just the bee's knees. Makes me want to cry every time I watch it.
Well, let me go back to my notes and restate everything that I did for my number 6. Yeah.
I just did it at number 1
Well, that was nice to.
because I'm a gangsta.
Yeah. And so my number 1.
Yes, you're number 1.
And what is my number 1?
Army of Darkness.
No.
No?
No. John Wick.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, you got 86, 89, 89, 94. So clearly there is this building trend, you know. Now, I love the first film, but that could have been just simply, how many sort of one-shot action films do you see, revenge kind of stuff? Oh, it was interesting. Who saw this coming? Because what they did was they created this entire contextual milieu. Boys and girls, that's our word for the day, which is milieu, right?
Millyew. Milieu.
Almost good choice. The history, the characterization, the tradition, the visuals, it just opened up this entire world that you didn't see. And I don't know whether or not this was always on the page and that was like, okay, we're going to do this and eventually it's going to happen. Or did they say, we have lightning in a bottle with this first one. What do we do? Because the gap, you talk about the distance between the first film and the second, and then the third, and then the fourth is so vast that they're almost entirely different films. It's almost like they're not even in the same universe kind of stuff. Just really. And I want more. Every single one is good. They just keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah. I think that part of it could have been that they had sort of like, you had this idea for a story and you're writing it and you put him in this world that you've kind of created, but they didn't flesh it out fully. And as the story progresses, maybe in the second and third movie, they realize what they need to do and expand it on it maybe, but I don't know.
Great bad guys, they get better and better as they go kind of thing.
I was expecting every time the next one came out, I was expecting it to fail. I was like, okay, we finally finished the joke now. You know, John Wick Chapter 3 is going to be bad. Okay, Chapter 3 was good, but now Chapter 4 is finally going to be bad.
Every single one, it's like, how are they going to, it's like when you write yourself into a corner. How am I going to get out of this? How in the world is this, it makes you, it just holds on and compels you. And it doesn't seem contrived in terms of how they resolve those conflicts. That number 4 was just really, it was pulse pounding.
It's got everything times 10 set pieces, deaths, action sequences.
Yep.
And they somehow pull it off.
To watch on the big screen.
Very great cinematography.
Yeah. Wow. Just good.
Wow.
Yeah. Honorable mentions.
I had some honorable mentions. I was surprised that you didn't put Godfather Part 2 on there.
Because it's not better than the first one.
Okay.
I will stand on that.
Yeah.
Now, there are people...
Stand on your foot.
I argued with this with my wife earlier because she asked me what's on my list. And I said, she's Godfather Part 2. I said, no, there's a lot of people. That would be their number one choice.
It's the most often number one list I saw.
Yeah. I love the first film. I think the second film is they're both fantastic movies, but the Cuba backstory kind of stuff, I just remember when I saw Godfather 1, in high school, it was like, it blew me away. And then when I saw number 2, in fact, when it was nominated for Best Picture, I'm thinking, no, it's not Best Picture. It's not Best Picture, whatever that year was. That tells me even back then, it wasn't resonating as strong with me. But it's still a fantastic movie, but I believe that 1 is better, even though everybody out there on the web would disagree.
I also had Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, Christmas Vacation, Army of Darkness, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I had the only one that I struggled with, my original, I had Army of Darkness on there. And we talk about Army of Darkness so
That's why
much.
I didn't put it on my list.
Yeah.
There were some other ones that I had on here for yours. I also thought you might put Dune or Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
Didn't even think about it, Return of the Dead Part 3.
Yeah, sometimes I know you're going to pick out a super obscure movie and I just have no idea where it's going to come from.
It's not that I pick out a super obscure movie. It's just that I watch
obscure
movies that are
obscure.
not within on your chessboard because of our age difference
Obscure.
or our intelligence difference,
That's probably the big
our
one.
social emotional maturity difference.
That's another big one.
Yeah.
Reading levels.
Yeah. Was it good for you?
It was awesome.
My sequel? Spawn of my loins.
The best version.
Yeah.
Bigger budget.
Just because you know how to drive doesn't mean you know where to go. Well, I just think the internet here wants to once again just wish you a very, very happy birthday. And
Thank you very much.
send you an envelope with world peace in it.
Send me an envelope of cash too.
Yeah, that'll
cash
work.
envelopes.
That always works too. So, like us, subscribe to us. That all of those things, those buttons that are right there on you, that all you young people know what that means. And send us your ideas for other episodes
Yes.
you'd like to do. We've been in rotten potatoes in our kitchen, man. We've been coming up with some new ideas
Yes.
and things. And
Next
some
week.
curveballs that might easily just throw you for next week is next Thursday will be
1985.
Thanksgiving is
And
what I was
well,
thinking.
I'm talking about what we're releasing.
Yeah.
The best movies from 1985.
Is that what's coming out then?
hmm
Okay.
So you can watch a movie from 1985 on Thanksgiving if you'd like.
that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you at the movies.